So I recently did a podcast on the great Pat Price, who was a big part of the Islanders' defense corps in the mid to late 1970s. Lost out on a chance at the Stanley Cup of the dynasty of the early 80s. And this is, you can't mention Pat Price without mentioning this guy. You know, it's kind of unfortunate he never put his name in the Stanley Cup because he was part of some very important seasons with the Islanders in that same period where Pat was there. And, he found himself with the Quebec Nordiques when he finally joined the NHL and was a big part of their defensive corps. So today we're going to talk about, of course, the very, very talented and the very popular Gerry Hart. Now, Gerry Hart, born January 1st, 1948 in the great Manitoba community of Flin Flon, 5'9", 175. Came to major prominence, of course, with the Flin Flon Bombers of the WJHL. Now, at one point, Flin Flon was in the SJHL, but he eventually graduated to the big team, and he won MJHL First All-Star Team in '67, and he was also a Turnbull Cup Championship member with that squad, and was a WCJHL First All-Star Team winner in '68. Now, he eventually played 730 games in the NHL as an undrafted player. Now, there's some question why Gerry Hart wasn't drafted. Still confusing to me. He eventually found his way with the Detroit Red Wings system. He started with the Baltimore Clippers of the AHL, played with Detroit for one game in '69. Sent back to Fort Worth after that one game. 1970, again, sharing time with Fort Worth and Detroit. Played 3 games in Detroit 1970. 71, finally made the NHL as a full-time player. 64 games, 9 points with a very positive -3. But get this, ladies and gentlemen, wasn't scared to take a penalty. 148 minutes on penalties that year. Now, for some reason, he found himself in the Wings minor league system again for 42 games between Fort Worth and Tidewater. 5 goals, 13 assists for 18 points, with over 230 minutes in penalties. Now, one last cup of coffee with Detroit before the Islanders took a chance of him and brought him to the field for expansion. And over those years, ladies and gentlemen, between 73 and 79, he was one of the best defensive forwards in the NHL, and especially working with Jean Potvin, Dennis Potvin, Pat Price as part of their strong defensive corps. His best season with the Islanders was in 1976, 24 points in 80 games, including 6 goals, and a very important 4 points in 13 playoff games. Now, in this era, Montreal Canadiens were stopping them in their Stanley Cup quest, and of course, Gerry was part of that great flowing offense that New York had before Bossy and after Bossy. Brian Trottier, Clark Gillies, Bobby Nystrom, all these key players. Now, with expansion, he found himself with the Quebec Nordiques for the 1980 season, put up 26 points in 71 games. But 81, for some reason, he was all over the place, ladies and gentlemen. Played 6 games with the Nordiques, 2 games with the Nova Scotia Voyageurs, then found a home as a regular forward with the St. Louis Blues, where he put up 15 points in 63 games. 82, injury-riddled, 35 games, 1 assist in the regular season, 3 in the playoffs, and his last NHL games were in 83 with 8 games. Final NHL total, 730 games, 179 points, 29 goals, 150 assists, and 15 points in 78 playoff games. But like I said, a strong stay-at-home defenseman who eventually retired from the NHL in '82, and again, he was just as successful in hockey, was outside of hockey, became a businessman. Now, in October '92, along with college roommates Thomas Matoli and Randolph Nash, he decided to open the Rinks Recreation Complex in Hidden Pond Park in Hoppagage, New York, with a 20-year land lease from the town of Islip. Now, on May 26, 2004, he sold a popular ice rink and day camp to Fancher's J. Palomara, a business consultant, who formerly served executive vice president for Aramark. So again, strong business leanings as well. Now, he was inducted in the Manitoba Hockey Hall of Fame, well deserved, one of the great Flin Flon boys. And he's also in the Suffolk Sports Hall of Fame on Long Island in the hockey category, with the class of 1997 for his contributions again to Long Island, the Long Island or the New York Islanders, hockey program on many levels. But in New York, ladies and gentlemen, I remember him getting in some really doozies of fights with Toronto and Montreal. I remember him being extremely strong in the corners, sort of like a poor man's Rick Green. But the Islanders' growth from expansion franchise to Stanley Cup contenders in the late 70s was due to a lot of players. And you can't do it without great defensemen. And Gerry Hart, very good defensive defenseman. He had the respect of us in the media, players throughout the league. But it'd be kind of a wonder if he would have moved to Toronto or Boston, would that have helped those teams move forward towards the Stanley Cup? Because New York had no problem on defense. It was just the offense not clicking in certain key situations. And when they got bossy, it took a couple of years to fully click, but when they did, oh my God, ladies and gentlemen, the Islander games back in the late 70s, early 80s were a treat, because the atmosphere watching the games on the island, seeing the rivalry against the Rangers, rivalry against the Flyers, the Montreal Canadiens, the Edmonton Oilers later on, it was great to be an Islander fan. But they choked all the way in the late 70s toward the Stanley Cup, and they overachieved in the 80s with the Stanley Cup run. And he would have won 5 cups, ladies and gentlemen, but as we know, sometimes Wayne Gretzky gets something to his mind to, I got a puck, get your own puck. And that's why they didn't win 5 straight. It had nothing to do with the Islanders. It had to do with Gretzky. Because he was just, took 3 times for Gretzky to knock off the Islanders. We all know the history. So, 3rd time a charm, I guess. Thanks for listening. That was a legendary Gerry Hart. Have a good day.